How you doing? This is Mike from Mike's Random Thoughts. So, this is just an off-the-top episode, going over some news and whatnot. I noticed some things. It seems like the LGBT community is still pushing their agenda pretty strongly, both within society and within politics. And it's more than just the United States. It's also pretty much every country that you could think of. So it's not just like, you can't say this is just a American fundamental struggle thing. This is like a global push. So it got me thinking, because I seen this post about an Indian actress, I guess. She got famous. I call her an actress, but she's a chef. She got famous for winning Bravo's Top Chef. And she was just going on and on about how us as parents need to learn that it's not okay for us to pick our kids' gender. There is only... This is what I'm saying. And I got to put this out why it's so, because we're only a minute in. Because it's a hot button topic. One, let me just put this disclaimer out there. I'm not against the LGBT community as per se. You know what I'm saying? As an American, I feel like you have a right, or even as a citizen of the globe. I mean, you have a right to be able to be with whatever partner that you wish to be able to be with. With that said, it's not okay for you to push your agenda or your beliefs down the throats of every single other person. It's not okay for you to bash your beliefs on all of us. Let me put it like this. Myself as a Christian, right? How is it that it's not okay for me to express my religious beliefs without being considered a bigot or a Bible basher or whatever you want to say, Trumper or whatever? That's not okay with you. But yet, you find it acceptable to put out articles and have celebrities and politicians and everything try to tell us as parents who created the child, right, that it's not okay for us to decide what's best for our child. That it's like, you know what's best for our child and we don't know what's best for our child. And I'm sorry to tell you, you're dead wrong. And that's where most people draw the line at. And that's where the hot button issue is that I was referring to earlier. You know, everybody wants to say that if you're against all of this, then you're a bigot or you're an extremist or whatever, you know. In reality, you're just a person with viewpoints and feelings just like they do. You know what I'm saying? So, myself, I really did start this podcast off completely different than true crime. And I know a lot of people don't realize that. It's true. If you go back to the very first episode, or not the very first episode, I actually want to say it was like number 3. But it was the LGBT trans community episode. Focusing on the LGBT rights and legalization and all that. So it's not like it's something that I have ignored before. You know what I mean? I brought it up before. It's just getting to the point to where it feels like you have teachers pushing their viewpoints on our children. A lot of parents are actually questioning if we should even let our children go to public school at this point. Because we feel like the teachers are being allowed to push their political and personal agendas on our children. And personally, myself as a parent, and I know many other parents that actually agree with me on this one, that's unacceptable in every single form of the way. You can sit there and try to sell yourself off as a freedom warrior and a social justice warrior and whatever you want to call yourself. But at the end of the day, you're nothing more than another person. And you do have the right to express your viewpoints. Don't get me wrong, but I have the right to sit here and express my viewpoints too. And that's where I'm at with it. You know what I mean? But it's really getting too far. I mean, I feel like as an American, it's getting too far. And even as a citizen of any country, it's getting too far. I never thought that I would actually wake up one day and see in the Middle East which if you're Muslim or if you know anything about the Islam culture at all, you will find this very shocking. But in the Middle East, they have LGBT rights pushes going on in their politics as well. And see, this is what I'm saying. To me, I'm not like the average person. Most people see this and say, yeah, this is a good thing for people, right? I start looking at it as, how is it that all of a sudden, in the span of a couple years, people's countries that were literally founded on their belief structure. Okay, let me tell you like this. In Saudi Arabia, their politics are very much associated with their belief system. Okay, so the idea that they're pushing this agenda over there is mind-boggling to me. To me, this speaks of a very well-funded idea, because in no shape, form, or way is it acceptable for anybody to indoctrinate somebody's child with their beliefs. If you're a teacher, your job is plain and simple. Your job is you go to work, you teach our children the state curriculum that is mandated by whatever state that you live in to teach our children. That is your job. Your job isn't to tell our children your sexual preference, your gender preference, or your political beliefs. That's unacceptable. However, let me throw this out there real quick. You gotta wonder, how are they getting away with it? See, there's a thing called teacher unions. Teacher unions are there to decide, or help decide, I should say, because the state Department of Education, there's a state department that oversees education as well, but there's a federal Department of Education that decides what education curriculum will be put out. So the Department of Education puts out the curriculum that's going to be put out to each state, right? The state basically decides what they agree on, I think they decide whatever they agree on. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a teacher and I don't know that much about it. I'm just going by what I basically know. So the state decides what they're going to teach our children, right? Teacher unions are there to help decide what that are and to protect the teachers. So overall, I'm not upset at the teachers. If it's curriculum that's being mandated and taught, like what I'm noticing. See, here's the thing. There's two types of people here. You have some teachers out there that's doing this on their own free will. And there are cases of this. And that's a fact. We could bring up many different cases of that. But you also have cases on certain states that it seems like the curriculum's actually being pushed by the suits. And when I refer to the suits, I'm referring to the Department of Education, which is a federal agency. So what is it that this administration is actually really trying to push? What is it that this administration is actually really trying to accomplish? Because it isn't for the best interest of the American people. I find it appalling that we have somebody overseeing the Department of Health that thinks it's acceptable to trance around the way that he is. Now, you might be able to call yourself whatever you want to call yourself, okay? That's fine. And let me put it like this. Like I said on a friend's show, my buddy Dirty Water, I told him on his channel not too long ago, there is a rare exception. It's such a rare exception that it's referred to as a monopoly, because it very seldom really happens where somebody is born with both genders. However, majority of the time, and most of the time, 99.8% of the time, if not 99.99% of the time, you are born either male or female. Now, there's a lot of science that we could go into behind this, okay? What is going on to me is this. You have a lot of extremists that are coming out of, unfortunately, what it seems like the leftist ideology, meaning the Democratic platform, people that support the Democratic Party. You could call them leftists, you could call them socialists, you could call them communists, you could call them a lot of different things. that is grown up, butthurt, that they probably got picked on a little bit growing up, bullied in school, and they grew up and they graduated from their, colleges or whatever have you, and they worked their way up. And they got even more butthurt because of things that possibly happened, I'm just assuming here. And as time grew, they started pushing their more extremist and more extremist and more extremist viewpoints. And then they got Hollywood on it. And for those of you that don't know, Hollywood has a long history of pushing sexual perversion. Very much so. So they got them involved in on it. And now, in the course of a couple years, it's like they think they could erase everything, as if there's no track record showing the steps that they did to get to this point. Myself, I ain't falling for it. You're born with two genders. Now, the fact that you might have your own fetishes, that's okay. Some people do, some people don't. Most people do. You might have your wants and desires, right? Whatever they may be. But what I think is going on here is it almost seems like they want to live out their fantasies in real life. You get what I'm saying? And while they're at it, they're trying to make us think that their fantasy is reality. It's really funny to me because if you think back to the hippie culture, there was another person that used to say that too. I'm not going to say his name, but, always talk about reality. What's your reality? My reality is this reality, and your reality isn't my concern because your reality doesn't factor into my reality. It's a bunch of word games. It's a bunch of wordplay. You know what I'm saying? But really what it is, okay, you can have your reality, and you can have your perceptions, and you can have your personal feelings, and you can have your wants and desires. And there's a time and a place for everything, okay? However, if you truly feel that you are whatever, born the wrong sex or whatever that may be, then go get the procedure done and quit talking about it. Why talk about it? If you really feel like that, then why don't you just kill off your old self and accept your new self? What is with all this reliving your old self and how astonishing it is? Because that's not. That's just your preference. At the point, I was okay with a lot of it, but when it got to the point to where teachers are trying to push their personal feelings on our kids, and therapists and mental health psychologists and progressive liberal politicians are trying to indoctrinate society with believing that this is fact, and that things that have been accepted and known as fact for centuries isn't in fact, because they're unwilling to accept that that's fact, even though it's been fact for centuries. Okay, all of a sudden it's because their reality is what they want to push, and our reality and perceptions, whatever they may be, whether that be religious or may that just be the way you are or the way you view things, they want you to feel like you're wrong. So how are they going to accomplish this? They're going to do this over time. It may seem like right now they're pushing it in a very fast pace, right? Just ramped up. Just completely ramped up, right? But think about it. It's going to take a long time, because you got parents like me to where if it really does get bad nationally, to where every single state is starting to get affected by what I'm referring to as what some states are going through currently. If that happens on a whole national level within the United States, you got parents like me that will straight up be like, nope, I ain't going for it, and pull our kids out of school. And this is the reason why you have China Joe Biden trying to push that one bill, trying to kill private education systems. Did you hear about that last month? You had a lot of people in D.C. talking about we must kill private education. Private education is detrimental and dangerous to children's mental stability. Why are they doing that? Because private institutions are protected by our amendments and our Bill of Rights and our constitutions, okay? and we have freedoms, and we have our constitutional rights, and we have separation of church and state. And some of these private institutions are Christian ran, or Muslim ran, or Jewish ran. And they know they ain't gonna teach our children that BS. Period. So they want to do away with that. You know, it's kind of funny because Hitler did something similar to that back in the 40s, ironically, and Stalin. So, when you really think about it, I think this is going to be something you're going to see more and more over a period of time. Now, myself personally, I noticed it about way on early last year. I'm talking towards the beginning of last year. You know what I'm saying? My kid asked me a question, and I was just like, well, you're 7 years old. Where did you even see something that even made you even fathom a question like this, okay? And he said he saw it on a commercial, but what got me was the commercial aired on a children's network, cartoon station. And at that point, because me and my wife were debating cutting off the cable, you know, and I was like, nah, I was the one that was really being stubborn about it. But at that point, I looked at her and I said, you know what, call the cable company and cut off the cable, because I'm not dealing with that. And I'm not the only one. A lot of people have gone to streaming for that reason. You know, it's not okay for Hollywood to try to say, hey, this is how we feel and you're just going to have to accept it. No, we don't. We don't have to accept it. We could pull our kids out of your little systems, and we could do our own thing within a community. We have those rights. We're Americans. We have a whole principles of laws that protects us and gives us the ability to be able to do that. This is why we have private property. This is why we have private franchises, corporations, and all that kind of stuff. But you notice how China Joe Biden is trying to kill all that too, right? During COVID, who was affected the most? Private businesses, right? Okay, so why so many small businesses across the nation have been crushed, and they have no hope of ever reopening? And it's not just a mom and pop store I'm talking about. I'm talking about even small mom and pop chains have been affected to where they can never reopen again. But you know who is? The global corporations, the big, huge global bankers, mega corporations. And guess what they're pushing? The same agenda that's coming out of DC. And what is that? All of the stuff that basically most of Americans disagree with. See, you guys are screaming the loudest right now, but you guys really aren't the majority here. You guys just feel like you are because you guys got Hollywood and a small majority in DC that agree with you. Although if you actually look at the numbers, the Democratic Party is actually shaking in their boots right now. They know they have pushed too many agendas too hard and too fast. And they know in 2 years there's a lot of things on the line here. And that's why they're pushing even harder, because they have no other move. They can't do anything else other than push harder. And it's only costing them more and more. But at any rate, you guys feel like you're the loudest, like you're the most right now because Hollywood's backing you up and those DC politicians are. So you guys feel like, yeah, everybody feels the way we are. But they don't. And that's a fact. See, a lot of them want to consider people with our ideology dinosaurs. But here's the thing. You got to factor in how social structure is actually set up here. And this is bordering social science here. Now, in your general society, you have a group of influx of different people, right? These different people come from different demographics, different backgrounds, and different religious beliefs. This all shapes and forms how they function, both as an individual and within a community as a whole, within their own selves. Now, the goal is, within America, to be a melting pot for everybody to be able to function and accept everybody's viewpoints and move along. All right, cool. Yeah, I may not understand it, but yeah, okay, cool, whatever, and it's cool. That's what it is. But the over consensus right now is, it's like y'all just think that everybody feels that way, but we don't. Like I just said, hold on. Let me give you some small examples of this. The NBA, MLB, NHL, MLS, many different sports franchises have reported in multiple years running. We're talking 2 to 3 years. Now in business, that's called a course. Now, have reported record-breaking slump in sales, both in tickets and franchise. Franchise means sporting gear like what I'm wearing. This is actually a really older sweater. But anyways, all of that has slumped down. What that shows is Americans as a whole is saying, you guys aren't the loudest. When you're seeing amusement parks release dirt cheap ticket prices on a regular, that shows you majority of Americans don't agree with you. When you have major corporations reporting dropouts and people subscribing to their networks, and that's being reported, that shows you majority of Americans don't agree with you. When you have many schools reporting influxes of numbers back and forth of students and parents pulling them in and out, that shows you that majority of Americans don't agree with you. You get what I'm saying here? Do you get where I'm going? The only reason why you feel like you are is because you guys got Hollywood backing you up, and you have a small little group of politicians who's shaking in their boots about in 2 years. And the reason why they're shaking, like I said, is they know they've pushed this progressive agenda too hard. And they know that when it comes down to the state elections, we're gonna make sure our state representatives are gonna represent the way that we feel. They know this. They also know that with the Senate run, a lot of us want these politicians out of office. And a lot of us, we're not illegal people. We're not out rioting. We're not out looting. We're not out causing trouble. We're not out causing fights. You get what I'm saying? We're not out like causing mayhem everywhere we go. We don't walk around with an attitude. We're just silently doing our jobs, getting by, trying to function in society, watching everything go by in chaos. And we're waiting for the 2 years to pass up so we can hopefully vote these people out of office and hopefully get things back to somewhat normal over a period of time. I'm just being perfectly blunt here. And when you really look at the numbers out of DC, that's what you're seeing. Hold on a minute. And that's a fact. They're shaking in their boots, man, because they just know. They know we've pushed this way too hard and too fast, and there's nothing that we can do about it. So the only thing that they're doing is just trying to be louder. But that's okay. Go ahead and be loud. Go ahead and be as loud as you want to. It doesn't matter. You can be as loud as you want to. It's not going to matter. Because we're all just waiting to be able to vote these people out of office. Just being honest. And that's the whole point of this little off the top episode, because you keep, like, every time you pull up a news article, they want you to think that you're wrong. So pay attention to the wording, because you're not. And cross-reference their articles with other independent journalists. And that's the ticket here. You got to look at the big stories. I always say this, look at if you can stomach it, look at the liberal media, so you can get the story leads, because honestly, they like to run their mouth, so they're going to be on it like lightning, and they're going to try to twist it around. Then look at the independent journalists that were there on the ground, okay? Because they're going to try to give you the truth. And you got to put your opinion based on that. And then if you're looking at the global scale, pay attention to all of the globe. Hold on a minute.
Sorry, Dad, I'm just looking to see if she's allowed to. Let's find them inside.
They should be inside. There's no shoes out here, buddy. Go inside, though, okay? I'm almost done.
I just want to get to one shoe closer.
All right. And you got kids, you know? All right. Sorry about that. Like I said, when you got kids, man, But anyways, the point of this episode was mainly to address the LGBT push, because I kept seeing all these articles come out with these celebrities saying, you're not right, you're not right. It's not okay for you parents to decide your kid's gender. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, it is okay for us to choose our gender. Not only is it okay for us to choose our kid's gender, it's okay for us to tell our kids what candidates to vote for. It's okay for us to tell our kids what Bible to read. It's okay to tell our kids it's okay to stand up for their religious viewpoints. It's okay for us to tell our kids it's okay to be American. It's okay to tell our kids to support the law enforcement. It's okay to tell our kids it's okay to stand up and support the troops. It's okay to tell our kids to stand up whenever other people are taking a knee. It's okay to tell our kids to put their hand on the Pledge of Allegiance. It's okay to tell our kids to shake the hand of a veteran. All of these things are perfectly acceptable and should be encouraged. You know, you start seeing a lot of things nowadays, don't you? And I was trying to make this real short, and I'm going to. I'm starting to get to the end of it. But there's something else that's been bothering me. Have you noticed yet that whenever you're out and about in the store yet, if somebody says, God bless you, look around, and you'll notice some people giving you dirty looks or giving a person dirty looks. It's happening more and more. As a Christian, I gotta say, I think that there's some major foul play going on by some major wickedness going on, evilness, temptation going on with both within politicians, majorly definitely different within the Democratic Party, and definitely within all these different social movements. Because all you see coming out of it, whenever you start, what I'm talking about, and don't get me wrong, let me just say this. My adopted dad was actually gay, okay? So I'm not against gay people, but I am against them trying to tell my kids how to view things. I draw the line there. You get what I'm saying? I draw the line at movies and television talking about it 24/7. Making it a point to address it. That's called shoving it down America's throat. So it's my choice to say, no, I ain't supporting it. And that's what I choose to do. You know what I mean? Everybody has the right to choose their own thing. People could choose to watch it, that's your right. People could choose not to watch it. That's the path I'm choosing. You get what I'm saying? Because I just personally don't feel like it's right. But hey, whatever. You get what I'm saying? I just wanted to address the whole extremist group. Because like I said earlier, I support the right for you guys to be able to love whoever you want to love and be with whoever you want to be with. That's your fundamental right as American. But the extremist part of your groups, those people, I don't agree with, because they're trying to tell all of us we're wrong for viewing the way we view things, and we're not. There's only two genders. And if you want to view yourself however you want to view yourself, hey, everybody has their own private residence. Do what you want to do behind closed doors. That's how I view it. And it always has been that. I don't understand how that's a problem all of a sudden. You get what I'm saying? The world has functioned perfectly fine the way that was. You get what I'm saying? Do what you do. You know what I mean? You know? Whatever. But I don't want to see it all the time. You get what I'm saying? I mean, how are they gonna feel like, I can't even think of a way for a straight couple to be as extreme as radical is what you're seeing from these extreme leftists. I just can't, because I just don't think there's a way without it being just completely gross and disgusting, because even what they're doing is gross and disgusting. So I mean, really, what point would you prove other than you're no better than what they are? So I say keep doing what we're doing, because it's working. It's working. You're seeing all these sporting leagues suffering. Their pocketbooks, oh, they're hurting. They're hurting big time. Hollywood, they're hurting. And they're hurting big freaking time. Do you get what I'm saying? So just stay the course, and if it takes 2 years for us to vote all these people out, then it takes 2 years for us to vote them all out. But I say stay the course. You dig what I'm saying? And don't give in to the wordplay. Don't give in to the violence. Don't give in to the triggery. Don't give in to the trigger play. They're really big on wordplay. You know what I'm saying? And they're really big at soft aggression. A lot of leftists love to use soft aggression. And what do I mean by soft aggression? Soft aggression is whenever you're dealing with somebody who basically is being sarcastic or using a certain tone of voice that you could tell is demeaning to you. You get what I'm saying? Like, they feel like you're beneath them. That's a common leftist tactic. And what they're doing is they're trying to trigger you to get angry. They're trying to trigger you to get mad. They're trying to trigger you to get upset. They're trying to trigger you to show out. They're trying to get you to do exactly what the media is saying. That's what they're trying to do. So don't give in to that and just function normal in society. Let them continue to suffer in their pocketbooks and vote the politicians out in 2 years during the Senate and state runoffs. You get what I'm saying? That's the best course of action right now for all of us conservatives and for a lot of Christians. Even if you don't support the Republican Party, you couldn't possibly support all of this nonsense that they're pushing. The Democratic Party is pushing. I'm sure you couldn't. Or maybe you could. I don't know. I know I couldn't, but that's just me. But anyways, like